It's a couple of days old, but I've got to ask, right? As soon as I saw Meghan Markle walking out of the Balenciaga fashion show.
Oh, honey. When Meghan Markle landed in Paris, she was ready for fireworks, thunder, and the kind of attention only Paris could give. Cameras, flashes, the crowd chanting her name. That's what she expected. But what she got,
weird and inauthentic,
was silence. A chilling, echoing, vacuum silence.
It's been mocked at Paris Fashion Week.
In a city that never stops buzzing, the moment was unreal. No cheers, no gasps, just the lonely, cold sound of camera shutters clicking, like coughs inside a cathedral. Paris, the world's loudest fashion capital, stood still. This was supposed to be her comeback, her grand resurrection. Meghan Markle, the Duchess turned Hollywood starlet, reclaiming her crown in the front row of Balenciaga. The symbolism was perfect on paper. The flashbulbs, the couture, the Duchess reborn moment everyone had been whispering about. But inside that glittering venue, oh, the air was heavy. It wasn't glamour, it was frost. Something colder, quieter, something that made even seasoned editors squirm in their seats.
Ads a couple of years ago. I mean, you know, we'll just roll on.
Exploitative of young children.
What?
Attendees described it like stepping into a vacuum. You could hear the fabric breathe, one editor said. No laughter, no gossip, just tight smiles and narrowed eyes. It feels like a coronation, one whispered, without a crown. Paris has seen it all. Dior's muses, Chanel's rebels, even Princess Diana herself. But that night, they looked at Meghan not as a queen, not even as a duchess, but as an exhibit, a museum piece. Fascinating, yes, but fragile, and just slightly out of place. Every smile, every wave, every head turn felt scripted, like someone auditioning for her own redemption story. And the internet? Oh, it exploded in real time. Hours before the event, Meghan's PR team had teased a statement appearance, supposedly tied to her upcoming humanitarian award for child safety advocacy. Perfect timing, right? Except the brand hosting her, Balenciaga, was still recovering from its own scandal over exploitative imagery. And just like that, the whispers turned into wildfire.
Yeah, roll on, that's fine. They keep, you know, they're uncancelable. And you go, sorry, I'm pretty sure that would sort of rule most people out. But what did you think about the person who thinks they're queen in their own mind, just with the saunter and all the rest of it as she was leaving the fashion show? That being
protecting children while wearing that label? One tweet scoffed, and it went viral. Within minutes, hashtags were everywhere. Irony in heels, once Paris faux pas. Twitter was eating it up. Backstage, the vibe was tense. Stylists whispered that Meghan's entourage was on edge, spraying perfume like armor, snapping at assistants, panicking over lighting. Some said it was exhaustion, others said it was fear. You can't fake ease in this room, one fashion photographer muttered. Paris smells insecurity like sharks smell blood. And darling, once that scent spreads, it's over. The perception grew. And in Paris, perception is everything. The detail everyone obsessed over wasn't her gown or her posture. It was a tiny tag. Yes, a clothing tag. Still stitched to the inside of her couture gown. That's not a wardrobe malfunction in Paris. That's a statement. Insiders confirmed every item she wore that night was borrowed, not gifted. And in couture, that's code. The chosen are dressed. The outsiders borrow. Balenciaga didn't style her, one stylist reportedly quipped. They loaned her mercy. By the end of the night, irony had hardened into truth. Meghan had flown across the ocean to prove she still belonged among fashion's elite. But Paris, graceful, merciless Paris, handed down its verdict with silence. No boos, no cheers, just the soft click of cameras pointed at someone else. As her black car slipped into the Paris night, the Seine shimmered in reflection. To most, it looked like just another celebrity exit, but to those watching closely, it felt like something else. An omen, because the road Meghan's driver took next, it reopened a wound that Paris had spent nearly 3 decades trying to forget. The whispers started almost immediately. Not about her gown, not even about her silence, but about the route her car had taken. According to eyewitnesses and blogs, the black SUV carrying the Duchess had passed through a tunnel. The Pont de l'Alma, the very same place where Princess Diana lost her life in 1997. At first, it sounded like tabloid nonsense. Then came the videos. Grainy, shaky night clips showing a black SUV with diplomatic plates, time-stamped just after the Balenciaga show. Within minutes, the footage went viral. TikToks flooded timelines, side-by-side edits of Diana's final moments and Meghan's Paris exit, mournful piano music, captions like "she knew." The internet didn't breathe, it exploded.
She, of course, spent the weekend there showing plenty of behind-the-scenes content. Now, let's just take a look at the Duchess strutting for the cameras.
A Paris columnist wrote the next morning, "That tunnel isn't scenery, it's sacred ground. What the internet saw as symbolism, Paris saw as desecration." The Duchess's team scrambled. Before dawn, they released a statement. The route was chosen by security, not symbolism. She was unaware. But that denial? Oh, it only made things worse. Clips of Meghan's old interviews resurfaced, the ones where she'd called Diana her guiding light. "She knew the history," one British anchor sneered live on TV. "You don't forget that tunnel. You avoid it." Inside PR circles, panic set in. American advisors urged her to stay silent. European strategists begged for an apology. But by sunrise, headlines across France blared a cruel phrase, "Diana adored." Meghan imitated it hit like lightning. It wasn't scandal, it was performance. And Paris doesn't forgive performance. Fans split into factions. Her loyal supporters pleaded for empathy. "She didn't choose the route," they cried. But critics were merciless. "Of course she did." One viral Reddit post asked, "If Harry still cries over that tunnel, how could she drive through it smiling?" That comment alone got thousands of upvotes and birthed a hashtag that wouldn't die for days. #TunnelTheory. Late-night hosts in America turned it into punchlines. "From Suits to the tunnel," one joked. "That's not a comeback tour. That's a ghost tour." The crowd laughed, but even the laughter sounded uneasy. Everyone knew exactly what the joke meant. Behind the curtains of Paris Fashion Week, insiders were even crueler. A Dior consultant whispered, "In this city, nothing is accidental. Because in Paris, image is intention, and intention is reputation." "She staged light where another woman lost hers," one editor said bluntly, and it didn't matter whether that was true or not. The narrative had already formed. Meghan wasn't being accused of a publicity stunt. Not anymore. She was being accused of borrowing tragedy. And that's the one sin Paris never forgives. But while Europe fumed, another storm was brewing, one that would cross the ocean and tie Meghan's tunnel scandal to something even darker. A ghost, not of Diana, but of American hypocrisy itself. As Paris simmered, Los Angeles woke up, and the conversation shifted. The fashion crowd might have been done, but Hollywood, oh, they were just getting started. The question now wasn't, what was she wearing? It was, why does she keep replaying the same story? To critics, that tunnel drive wasn't coincidence. It was choreography, a habit, a pattern of resurrecting Diana's ghost for sympathy and spotlight. And the twist? What reignited this entire conversation wasn't a meme, it was a documentary clip. Fans dug up old footage showing that the same US network that aired Meghan's emotional Oprah interview, CBS, was also the network that aired Princess Diana's final footage in 1997. That eerie parallel caught fire online. The network that filmed Diana's last breath, one TikTok voiceover said, was later paid to televise her son's pain. The irony? It hit millions of views before breakfast. Suddenly, old CBS archives flooded social media. Blurred wreckage, somber narrations, dramatic voiceovers about the cost of fame. The message was clear and brutal. You can't condemn exploitation, one viral post read, and then sell it in 4K. Oof, that one hurt. Industry insiders began murmuring about a new crisis, an authenticity crisis surrounding the Sussex brand. You can't build a business on sincerity, one PR executive told Variety, when your biggest client keeps contradicting herself. That quote, it blew up. It became a meme template overnight. Authenticity sells, hypocrisy kills, and soon the numbers told the story. Streaming stats flatlined, Spotify quietly ended its deal. Netflix's Royal Gold sequel slipped down the charts. The more she tries to own the narrative, one journalist sighed, the less people believe it belongs to her. And it didn't stop there. Rumors of ghost-written speeches, recycled charity proposals, half-finished projects started surfacing. She's restless, one former staffer allegedly said, always chasing reinvention, never closing the chapter. By week's end, social media had coined a new phrase, one that summed up everything, #echo effect. It meant one thing, every reinvention echoed something old, Diana's tragedy, royal rebellion, media martyrdom, the same movie, just louder, and with fewer fans each time. The echo effect had officially taken over the internet. People couldn't stop talking or tweeting about how every move Meghan made seemed to echo something we'd already seen before. Diana's tragedy, the royal rebellion, the same story retold each time louder, but with fewer people listening. To the monarchy, this Paris disaster wasn't just another PR mess. It was validation, proof that their warnings about Meghan's obsession with symbolism weren't paranoia, but prophecy. To Hollywood, it was a red flag. And then, not even that. One photographer put it bluntly, she stood in a sea of flashbulbs, but no one looked. There it was. the perfect metaphor for her fall from grace. A single shot from that night went viral. Meghan Markle centered, perfectly lit, surrounded by blurred shadows. No fans, no friends, just light and emptiness. Twitter nicknamed it the balcony shot. The caption that broke the internet? Spot the crowd. You can't, and oh, that one stung. Within hours, #empty chair energy was trending. Again. The same phrase that haunted her past interviews, now resurrected as a digital ghost. In the fashion world, silence speaks volumes. Paris doesn't boo, one French editor wrote. It just blinks and forgets. And honey, Paris was already forgetting her. Balenciaga shifted focus to a new muse. Dior's staff rolled their eyes when her name came up. One stylist even admitted, being seen near her right now feels risky. She's trending for the wrong reasons. And then came the photos, the ones that sealed her fate. Rihanna glowing in Dior, Kim Kardashian wrapped in Balenciaga beside the creative director himself, and Meghan, standing alone in her borrowed gown, smiling through the chill. A viral caption said it best. One of these women was chosen. The other borrowed the invitation. Ouch. It wasn't mockery, it was diagnosis. Even her defenders couldn't defend anymore. She's not controversial, an American journalist confessed on a live panel. She's background noise. Even her fans began to notice. The once overflowing comments filled with heart emojis turned into sarcasm. Still waiting for the humanitarian part, one snarked under a photo of her in couture. TikTok's #ParisExposed refused to die. It evolved into a wider critique about image fatigue. She came for validation, one viral voiceover said, and left with proof she doesn't need rescuing. She needs relevance. The bite of that sentence was cruel, but painfully true. Even late-night hosts handled her name with awkward restraint. They joked, sure, but the laughter always felt uneasy. Paris doesn't clap, one quipped. It curates silence. The audience chuckled nervously because they knew this wasn't just gossip. It was decay, and Meghan Markle, the woman who once commanded the world's spotlight, was slowly fading from it. Then came the business tremors. Industry analysts warned that the Sussex brand, once valued for its royal edge, was losing its power. If the royal connection fades, one strategist told Variety, so does the valuation. Spotify was already gone, Netflix had gone quiet, and for a woman who built her empire on visibility, invisibility was now her greatest enemy. But the most haunting part of it all wasn't rejection, it was indifference. Paris hadn't canceled her, it just moved on. And when an entire industry stops caring, you don't hear the fall, you just hear nothing. And that silence, that elegant, merciless silence, is the cruelest cut of all. There's poetry in it, really. Years ago, Meghan had warned the world about the cruelty of fame, how the spotlight burns and blinds, but now she was learning the other half of that lesson. The spotlight's cruelty isn't in exposure, it's in absence. This time, the cameras didn't attack her. They just stopped caring. Maybe that's what Paris wanted all along. Not vengeance, not scandal, not outrage, just quiet. The kind of silence that forces a person to look at themselves, without applause, without illusion, without anyone left to blame. Because in the end, it wasn't betrayal or scandal that dethroned Meghan Markle. It was exhaustion, a world too tired to care, and a city too elegant to shout. If Paris could end a narrative with one borrowed dress and one ill-fated drive, imagine what Hollywood will do when the next chapter begins. So buckle up, because if this was the storm, then the silence that follows might just be louder than anything that came before. Subscribe, stay tuned, because the tea, it's not done steeping yet. It's not...